5 months in Brazil. You're a hard man to find.
What are you doing?
The story begins with Bishop in his boat, chilling, reading a newspaper and playing good music. When he finally steps out, he arms the boat using a command from his phone before heading off. At night, he sneaks back to the boat dock and sees armed men swarming over his vessel. So he detonates the bomb remotely, blowing the entire group to pieces. He rushes to his quiet hideout, digs for information on the lady who confronted him earlier, gathers cash and a fresh passport, burns his old identity and vanishes. He arrives on a peaceful beach and meets May, who welcomes him with a knowing smile. He tells her he intends to find someone before that person finds him. Inside his hut, he opens his hidden safe, brings out his tools and equipment, and starts piecing everything together. He uncovers who the woman is and learns more about the man she works for. The next day, he is outside when he sees Gina and watches her from a distance through his binoculars. Later, the younger meets the older one and asks for some first aid supplies since she has run out. And the woman notices marks on Gina's arms but does not push. Instead, she offers to take her somewhere safer for more supplies, but she politely turns her down. That night, May notices Gina and her boyfriend arguing violently, with the boyfriend threatening her, so she runs to tell Bishop and begs him to intervene. At first he says it is not his business. Help her. Women like that get killed in these situations. Oh, I will do it. He changes his mind and goes to them. The abusive man sees him but keeps hitting her even as she pleads. Bishop tells him to stop and let her go, but the man pushes her aside and grabs a weapon. Gay's savior disarms him and uses the same weapon to knock him away. Last chance. Don't want to do that. She realizes what has happened and collapses as soon as she tries to stand. The other arrives and her ally hands the unconscious woman to her, telling her to get ashore while he handles the boat. He searches it and finds Gina's passport and a phone that has his picture stored on it. He gathers whatever matters, leaves the rest, sets the boat on fire and returns to shore. When he storms back into his hut and sees her inside, he connects the dots. If her phone has his image on it, then she and the woman from the restaurant might both be linked to the same man, Crane. He points a gun at her and orders her to talk, demanding everything she knows about Crane. She tries to disarm him but fails, so she finally agrees to talk. She explains that the man has something on her and forced her to come to the island to get close to Bishop. But the guy in the boat got drunk and went off script. Then Frank got drunk and attacked me, and caused the messy situation leading to his own death. All she was meant to do was get close enough to the fighter, dial a single number and leave the rest to Crane's team. The fighter understands the entire setup and decides to turn the plan against the man who sent her. She panics, but he tells her he is not worried. No, I am not going to help you kill anyone. Afraid took his paw too far, as he spent his life beating men like Crane at their own game. After the older lady tends to her wounds and explains how her father taught the tough guy how to heal, the saved lady is surprised considering the man's reputation. Meanwhile, the man digs deeper into her background and discovers she was once part of a special military force before shifting to humanitarian work after a mission that changed her course. The two meet by the seashore and he tells her to reveal everything so he will not be taken unawares. She explains she runs a shelter for trafficked people, but one day the bad man kidnapped one of her staff and after a while, 2 days later she was thrown off a truck at my front door, lifeless. And even though they rushed her and offered help, she died within the hour. She says they followed it up with threats that everyone in her care would end up the same way, and that is why she had no choice but to do whatever they demanded. The next day he spots a boat out on the water and when he looks through his binoculars, he sees men carefully scanning the area. He walks up to her and grabs her hand like his partner, then leads her to the lively side of the beach while quietly explaining his thoughts. May ushers them in and performs the couple's tradition, tying them together and guiding them through the steps that follow. As the accidental couple laugh and play along, the men on the boat snap pictures of them, assuming everything is genuine. Later that evening, she meets him by the fire and thanks him again for everything he has done, but her fears about the kids in the shelter still weigh heavily on her. He understands vulnerability more than he admits, and he tells her he knows what it means to be owned by someone ruthless because he was taken in and trained as a child soldier alongside Crane. He explains he eventually escaped, but the other guy did not, and because the escape was blamed on Crane, the man never recovered from it, which is why he is hunting for blood now. The two then fall into a moment, kiss and make love. Deep in the night, he wakes her gently and tells her he has planned a way out for her and the kids. He says he will not bend to the stupid demands, and once she is safe he will deal with the man himself. Morning arrives, and as they stand by the shore, a team of men in uniform approach aggressively. Two men grab the frightened woman and haul her into a boat. Though it is not enough because the remaining men speed away with her. He knocks down the next attacker, but the policemen point their guns at him and force him to surrender. Meanwhile, the team lead calls the boss and reports the capture. They take him to a compound where a woman ensures he enters unarmed. He is offered a seat without realizing the chair is rigged with a deadly device. The boss arrives, and after awkward greetings he tells the strong guy he must perform the 3 kills in order to see his lover again. Give me the girl and walk away. His first target is a man imprisoned in a remote Malaysian facility surrounded by shark-infested waters. The target treats the prison like a fortress and has loyal men placed throughout. The boss hands Bishop a pill to take only after the kill is confirmed, then leaves. He gets to work immediately, planning the wild trip and collecting the necessary supplies. Back at his hideout, he assembles small lethal tools hidden inside cigarettes and chewing gum to slip past detection. He forges a passport matching the identity of a wanted man and draws a matching tattoo so the story fits. Once in Malaysia, he provokes a cop, gets arrested, and the forged passport seals his entry into the high-security prison. He is processed and handed his belongings, then led into the yard where inmates are busy with their daily activities. Krill walks in with several bodyguards, and Bishop quietly asks another prisoner who the stern-looking figure is. The man gives him a quick rundown of Krill's bloody past as an executioner for militias. People say he ate the hearts of his victims. The inmate explains that many inside want the tough guy dead because of his old atrocities, then points out his former henchman who now intends to kill his old boss. Bishop manages to get hold of a knife and keeps a close watch on the unfolding tension. When the ex-assassin tries to sneak behind his former boss with the blade strapped to his hand, the fake inmate intercepts, swings his own knife and kills the attacker. The boss is grateful and immediately warms up to him, inviting him for dinner, but he only agrees on the condition that they eat alone without guards hovering around. At dinner, the executioner talks about the assassin's brother he once killed and also talks about loyalty being a rare thing and about his ambition to lead the whole of Africa once he gets out. He even offers Bishop a job. There could be a job for a man. But before anything can happen, the man on a mission grabs him and pins his neck to the corner until he passes out. He then mixes a concoction, forces it down his throat, and positions him like he is deep in prayer. When the guards hear strange noises, they barge in, but Bishop tells them to give the religious man space to meditate, and they are calm. Suddenly, the alarms blare across the facility and everyone is ordered to gather. Bishop plants his small weapon on the wall, swallows the tracker and detonates the charge, creating a hole big enough to escape through. He rubs a protective cream on his skin, slips out, dodges security fire, dives into the water and swims toward the ship waiting for him. On board, the men call the boss, who hands the phone to the captured lady with details of his next target. The boss then tells her he believed his man would succeed the moment he saw her wearing his father's wristwatch, a reminder that he would do anything to protect her. The next target is a man who built his fortune trafficking underage girls. And while the wicked magnate swims lazily in his suspended pool at the top of his penthouse, the skilled assassin poses as a potential apartment buyer and gains access to a section of the building just long enough to study the layout and take the cues he needs. Back at his hideout, he begins crafting the equipment for the task, even building a replica of the pool system so he can figure out exactly how to collapse it. Once he is ready, he heads out and enters the building disguised as a workman. He slips through a window and climbs up the outer structure until he reaches the underside of the clear pool, carefully avoiding every guard on patrol. The target eventually returns and prepares for his swim, unaware that the intruder has drilled a weapon into the structure beneath him and injected a destabilizing chemical. When the man dives deeper, he ends up face to face with the killer beneath the glass. Bishop hastens the leak and jumps back inside the room, watching calmly as the pool gives way, and the notorious trafficker plummets to his death. News spreads everywhere that the wealthy predator is dead, so the boss orders his guard to hand the phone to the hostage. While on the call, the trapped woman subtly shows his lover the number on the boat, but the guard catches on and cuts the call. Still, the sharp-eyed fighter memorizes enough and quickly contacts the authorities, pretending his boat has been tampered with. Minutes later, a helicopter takes him to the location and drops him straight into the sea. He goes under the vessel unnoticed and eliminates the first two guards with clean shots once he shows up. Once on deck, he takes out another man silently and pushes him aside. One guard finally catches sight of him, but Bishop uses the proximity to his advantage and unloads several rounds into the man before putting bullets into two more who barely have time to react. He hides the bodies and continues inside the cabin. He moves cautiously, but a guard spots him, so he shoots the man and uses his body as a shield, missing his shot at the others as he slips into a small room that lures the guards out. Once they crowd the doorway, he finishes them off. Another enemy storms in, firing wildly, forcing him into the engine room where he kills one more before running out of bullets. He climbs out of a narrow hole, and as he tries to escape, he sees the girl being dragged toward him by several guards, so he retreats back into cover while she tries to break free but gets overpowered. The men corner the intruder and almost catch him, but he pulls himself into upper compartments, moving through tight spaces and knocking down another opponent on the way. The woman gathers herself and manages to take two guards down while Bishop smashes one man against a wall and throws another over the rail, sending him tumbling down the ship. Still, she is captured again and dragged away. He trails them to the helicopter area where numerous men surround the aircraft. He grabs one guard, sets off a bomb, and the explosion flings everyone, including him, across the deck. He struggles to rise, but more enemies swarm him, stabbing him with a blade than he drops. They bring him before the mastermind, who claims he fully anticipated all of the stunts and reminds him that he must finish the remaining kill if he wants the girl back. As the villain walks away, Bishop headbutts two guards instantly, swings a chair at another, kicks one man's knee out, slams another in the face, and uses that same man's body to crash through a glass divider and dives straight into the ocean. With his hands still bound, he swims underneath the ship, retrieves his hidden tools, frees himself, and uses a small underwater device to propel himself to a safer distance. The next assignment comes quickly: an arms dealer protected by an ultra-tight security system. The killer has only 24 hours to make the kill, and as he studies the setup, he realizes Crane is using him to take out special targets that are his own competition. From a distance, Bishop takes out a security guard at the arms dealing facility, and when the team calls for a helicopter, he sneaks inside and rides with them to the compound. As soon as the helicopter lands, he slips out and vanishes inside the building. He jams the security feeds, and when the guards get distracted by the malfunction, he slips further in. He eliminates the first man, dodges the sharp-eyed soldier patrolling the hallway, and then silently dispatches two more before taking out another. He knows the arms dealer has a reinforced panic room, so when the target heads there, the intruder places a bomb on the elevator roof, but the man still makes it inside the safe space only to find Bishop waiting. Surprisingly, since only one man's eye and fingerprint can open the doors, the killer explains he does not intend to kill him the way Crane ordered and proposes they work together. The dealer, calm but desperate, agrees immediately, especially since they both want Crane out of the way. "You will have to die." But first, they have to distract Crane's army, so the tough guy suggests faking the man's death, giving the enemy a reason to chase after his submarine instead. The dealer agrees, willing to act his death if it keeps him alive. During a tour of the facility, an explosion on the indoor bridge sends the dealer falling into the water beneath, where his new partner waits with diving gear to pull him to safety. Not long after, word spreads that the infamous arms trafficker's body has not been found after an explosion. Once on shore, the killer calls the bad guy and tells him the job is done and he wants the girl. The mastermind demands to see the body first, so the assassin tells him to retrieve it near the submarines. As soon as he hangs up, the boss orders his men to find the supposed corpse and then commands them to kill Bishop afterward. They take the bait and the men troop toward the base. The fighter arrives ahead of them and begins to rig the place with traps, placing weapons in strategic positions while keeping some for himself. The men show up, one of them wearing a body cam for Crane's eyes, only as the boss really did expect his former ally to appear. The man appears from the roof and shoots down two men, immediately alerting the rest. One guard accidentally tips a trap tied to an AK, and the weapon fires non-stop, killing several men while the killer maneuvers to a better position. One man opens a door, triggering another trap that releases gas, killing 2 instantly, and Bishop opens fire on the remaining enemies. He hurls a hand bomb toward 2 more men who are too slow to evade their fate. Even though the team lead carefully avoids these hazards, the man on a mission manages to fish him out and opens fire, but he escapes the barrage, returning fire as he moves. Another door opens and the same fate. An explosion rocks the guards. As he takes out another man, Crane's right hand enters a submarine, but before the door closes, Bishop throws a hand bomb inside, killing him and sending a clear message to the boss. The mastermind immediately reinforces security, expecting Bishop to make his move, but the fighter arrives silently beneath the ship with cameras trained everywhere and Gina placed in the open to lure him. He surfaces from the water, grabs a guard, stabs his leg and finishes him off. Once on deck, he slices the next man's leg, disarms another and then stabs both, leaving them dead. The boss notices something is off and orders that the girl be moved elsewhere. He watches as the fighter brutally kills another guard and hurls a knife at the CCTV camera, ending the live feed. Picking up a weapon, he dodges bullets from a guard before taking him down. While continuing his relentless assault, the woman being manhandled finds a chance to fight back, punching between a guard's thighs and attempting to disarm him, but he fires, striking her in the stomach. She lands a punch on him, slams his hand onto the rail, causing the gun to fall, then strikes again to try to get the weapon. The guard catches her, lands heavy blows to her stomach and hurls her into a small pool. The boss drags her out and takes her inside while the savior's eyes never leave them. The man who nearly killed the lady sneaks up behind the fighter, but at that moment more guards appear, spraying bullets, which the fighter returns with deadly accuracy. After taking them down, the stubborn guard grabs him and struggles, but Bishop uses him as a human shield and shoots at the others, killing one before running out of bullets. He smashes the man he is holding against a table, using him to strike more guards, then hits another with the back of his gun. He kicks one guard away and shoves a rifle through another's throat, killing him. He slams another in the face while holding a hand bomb, then beats one more before tossing the bomb into the pool, sending a guard to swim straight into a death trap. He arms himself again, takes out 2 more men simultaneously, and then moves toward the control room where the lady fights for her life while the captor prepares the ship to detonate. The villain starts moving toward his escape vehicle just as the ship is about to explode, but the fighter finds his lover first and they share a brief hug. With the destruction imminent, he places her in a closed compartment and sends it into the river. The boss sees this and sends his men after him, but Bishop evades them. He reappears, grabs a weapon and jumps into a smaller boat, using it as a shield while firing at the bad guy and his men. Moments later, the bomb he set earlier detonates beside the enemy. The two exchange fire. The boat falls on top of Bishop and the rival tries to impale him with a spear, but he dodges, kicks the man and uses the weapon to lock him in a chokehold. He beats the man, shoves him aside with the weapon. When the adversary stands, the tough guy lands brutal blows to his face, sending him crashing. The bad guy reminds him of his desertion years ago, explaining why he seeks revenge. The boss catches him with a chain and pulls him down, then swings an anchor, but Bishop dodges. The next swing grazes him, but the subsequent one sticks, and he uses the chain on the man who catches it, is brought down, and has his neck tied with the tool hooked to the ship. Unable to free himself, he tells Bishop he will not make it out, but the fighter has other plans. In a moment, the ship explodes. The wealthy man arrives later to the news that his new partner did not survive. Meanwhile, Gina is in Cambodia continuing her humanitarian work when her man shows up unannounced, revealing he is alive. The rich man conducts research on ships and deduces that the fighter must have hidden in a safe compartment during the destruction. Checking CCTV footage obtained from the scene, he watches the intruder emerge from the wreckage, sneaking away, and finds himself thoroughly impressed. Subscribe to Movo Reels, where every movie tells its story.